Ah, welcome back, you silent assassins. You walking withdrawals. You beautiful ghosts who stopped haunting and started living. They finally figured it out, didn't they? The worst part isn't that you stopped caring. It's that you stopped pretending you ever did. Let me tell you what's keeping them up at 3 o'clock a.m. scrolling through old conversations, analyzing timestamps, studying the exact moment you went cold. It's not anger they're searching for. Anger they could handle. Anger means there's still fire, still feeling, still a chance. What they found instead was something infinitely worse. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just empty space where their name used to echo. You see, there's a specific kind of terror that comes with being genuinely forgotten. Not blocked, not cursed, not even hated, just erased from the registry of things that matter. They keep texting, don't they? Those little breadcrumb messages disguised as casual check-ins, hoping to trigger some reaction, some proof that you're still thinking about them. But you're not angry. You're not bitter. You're not planning revenge. You're not even indifferent in the dramatic way. You simply moved on like they were a chapter in a book. You returned to the library 3 years ago. And that's what's eating them alive right now. Let's talk about what really happened here. Because they're spinning this narrative trying to convince themselves and everyone else that you're playing games. They're telling people you're being petty. You're trying to hurt them. You're doing this for attention. But deep down in the parts of themselves they won't admit exist. They know the truth. You're not performing coldness. You're genuinely living a life where they don't exist. You're not checking if they viewed your story. You're not posting things hoping they'll see. You're not carefully crafting your happiness to make them jealous. You're just happy and they're not part of the equation anymore. Not even as a variable. Here's what they didn't understand when they took you for granted. There's a difference between someone who's mad at you and someone who's done with you. Mad people still engage. They argue. They react. They give you the satisfaction of knowing you still matter. But done people, they don't give you anything, not even the energy of hate. You became a stranger to them, not through effort, but through genuine emotional evolution. And that's the part that's destroying them because it means they can't undo it, can't win you back, can't manipulate their way into relevance. The door isn't locked. It simply doesn't exist anymore. They're experiencing something truly poetic right now. The realization that indifference is the only thing worse than hate. Hatred means you still occupy space in someone's world, even if it's negative space. It's still real estate. But indifference means you've been evicted, deleted, removed from the property entirely. They're standing outside a building that was demolished months ago, still knocking on air, still shouting at foundations that were poured over. And every time they reach out, every time they try to reopen communication, they're confronted with the same reality. You're polite, you're civil, you're kind even, but you're unavailable emotionally, energetically, spiritually unavailable. Do you know what's happening in their group chats right now? They're analyzing your every move, trying to decode your social media posts, searching for hidden messages directed at them. Did you see what they posted? Is that about me? Why are they so happy? Who's making them laugh like that? They're running forensic analysis on your life, trying to find evidence of their impact and coming up empty because you're not posting for them. You're not living for them. You're not even living in spite of them. You're just living and they're realizing they're not even part of the story anymore. Not the villain, not the lesson, not even a footnote, just absent. Let me tell you what's really twisting the knife for them, though. It's not that you found someone better. It's that you found yourself better. You evolved. You healed. You became a version of yourself that doesn't need what they were offering. They're watching you thrive, not out of revenge, but out of genuine growth. And it's forcing them to confront something absolutely devastating. Maybe you didn't need them. Maybe you were always capable of this happiness, this peace, this power. Maybe they weren't the blessing they convinced themselves they were. Maybe they were just a delay, a detour, a lesson in what not to accept. And that realization, it's shattering their entire self-perception. Here's the psychology they're dealing with right now, and it's brutal. When someone hates you, it validates your importance in their life. It confirms you mattered enough to hurt them. But when someone is genuinely over you, it invalidates your entire narrative. Suddenly, all those times you thought you had power, all those moments you believed they couldn't live without you, all that confident swagger about being irreplaceable, it all crumbles. Because here they are very much living without you, thriving even, and you're forced to face the possibility that maybe you weren't as special as you thought. Maybe your absence was easier to fill than your presence was to tolerate. They're going through the stages right now. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, but they're stuck. They can't reach acceptance. Because acceptance would mean admitting you're actually gone. That the version of you who cared, who fought, who tried, who gave chances, that person died and isn't coming back. They keep looking for resurrection signs, hoping your coldness is just a phase, a test, a game. But every interaction, every polite but distant response, every time you treat them like an acquaintance, it reinforces the same crushing truth. You're not coming back because there's nothing to come back to. You didn't leave a relationship. You graduated from one. Let's go deeper into what they're feeling because this is where it gets truly delicious. They're experiencing a unique type of grief. The grief of losing someone who's still alive and functioning perfectly fine without them. It's like watching your funeral from a distance, realizing nobody's crying the way you thought they would. They're seeing you at parties, laughing, hearing about your success, your new connections, your growth, and none of it includes them. Not even as a memory you mention, not even as a story you tell. You've effectively written them out of your narrative. And they're experiencing the existential dread of being a deleted character. Remember when they had access to you, when they could text at 2 a.m. and you'd respond, when they could show up unannounced and you'd make time. When they could hurt you and you'd forgive. They're mourning that version of you, the one who was available, accessible, emotionally invested. But here's what's destroying them. That version didn't die because of something they did one time. It died because of everything they didn't do repeatedly. You didn't wake up one day and decide to stop caring. It was a slow erosion, a gradual realization, a quiet death of investment. And now they're facing the consequences, not through your anger, but through your absence. They're trying to provoke you right now, aren't they? Posting things they know you'll see. saying things through mutual friends, dating people who look like you, trying desperately to get any reaction because any reaction would mean you still care. Would mean they still have power. Would mean this indifference is performative. But you're not reacting. You're not even pretending not to see. You genuinely don't care what they do, who they're with, what they say. And that's the final nail. They can't manipulate someone who's genuinely detached. They can't hurt someone who's genuinely healed. Can't control someone who's genuinely free. Here's what they're understanding now. Probably for the first time in their life, actions have permanent consequences. They thought they could treat you however they wanted and you'd always be there. Thought your love, your patience, your forgiveness was infinite. They tested boundaries, pushed limits, took advantage, and you let them for a while because you're not cruel. You give chances. You believe in growth. But there was a final straw. They didn't see coming. Didn't recognize. Didn't think existed. And when you reached it, you didn't explode. You didn't rage. You didn't give them the dramatic exit. They could paint themselves as victims of you, just quietly, internally, completely checked out. Now, they're dealing with something called emotional object permanence, or rather the lack of it. When you're gone, you're actually gone. You're not sitting around thinking about them, processing them, healing from them. You processed, you healed, you moved on, and now when they're not in front of you, they literally don't exist in your consciousness. It's like they were a song you used to know all the words to. But now when it plays, you can't even remember why you liked it. This isn't closure. This is something more final than closure. This is complete emotional neutrality. The kind that can't be reversed because it's not based on hurt. It's based on evolution. They're probably telling people, you're cold now, heartless, different, not the person they knew. And you know what? They're right. You're not that person anymore. Because that person was exhausted from caring about people who didn't care back. That person was depleted from giving to people who only took. That person was broken from loving people who only knew how to damage. But this version of you, this one learned the most powerful lesson in human psychology. You can't lose what you're not attached to. Can't be hurt by what doesn't matter. Can't be controlled by what you don't need. You became untouchable. Not through walls, but through genuine indifference. Let me tell you what's happening in their mind right now. Because this is psychological warfare they didn't know existed. Every time they see you unbothered, it chips away at their self-image. Every time they hear you're doing well without them, it challenges their narrative. Every time they realize you're not even thinking about them, it creates cognitive dissonance they can't resolve because they need to believe they mattered. They need to believe their presence was significant, their absence impactful. But you're living proof that neither was true, that they were replaceable, forgettable, survivable. And that's an identity crisis. They're not equipped to handle. They're experiencing what psychologists call the devaluation reversal. When they had you, they devalued you, took you for granted, treated your presence like a given. Now that you're gone, they're overvaluing what they lost, romanticizing what you had, rewriting history to paint themselves as victims of your coldness. But here's the thing, you're not rewriting anything. You remember exactly what happened, exactly how you were treated, exactly why you left. You're just not angry about it anymore. Anger requires caring, and you don't. You've reached a place of pure, objective truth. They weren't good for you. You're better without them. Case closed. This is where it gets really interesting because they're starting to notice patterns. Every person who genuinely leaves them does the same thing, eventually stops responding, stops caring, stops being affected, and they're beginning to suspect. Maybe the problem isn't that everyone else is cold. Maybe the problem is they don't know how to value people until they're gone. But that level of self-reflection requires humility. They don't possess accountability. They refuse to accept. So instead, they'll keep blaming you, keep painting you as the villain, keep telling themselves you changed when the truth is you just stopped tolerating who they were. And that distinction, it's everything. You know what's beautiful about where you are right now? You're not trying to prove anything. You're not posting cryptic quotes hoping they'll see. You're not making your happiness loud, hoping they'll hear. You're just genuinely living a life that doesn't include them. Not as an enemy, not as a memory, not even as a lesson learned and moved past. They're completely irrelevant. And irrelevance is the most powerful form of revenge that doesn't require any effort. You're not doing this to them. You're doing this for you, and the fact that it destroys them, that's just a side effect of your growth. They're starting to panic now because the window is closing. There was a time when they could have apologized, explained, changed, and maybe, just maybe, you would have given another chance. But that time has passed, not because you're bitter, but because you're different. You want different things, value different qualities, require different energy. The version of you they knew, the one who accepted breadcrumbs, who overlooked red flags, who believed potential over proof. That version graduated, evolved, transcended. And this new version doesn't have space for people who need 100 chances to do what should have been done naturally, being decent. Here's what they'll never understand about indifference. It's not the opposite of love. Hate is. Indifference is the absence of love. The void that remains when caring dies. Hate still requires emotional investment. Still needs energy. Still proves you matter. But indifference proves you don't. Not anymore. Not ever again. They're experiencing the difference between being left and being outgrown, being blocked and being forgotten, being hated and being nothing. And nothing. That's what's breaking them slowly, quietly, completely. Because how do you fight nothing? How do you win back someone who isn't fighting you? They're just not including you. They're probably cycling through old messages right now, reading conversations, trying to pinpoint where it went wrong. Was it that argument, that broken promise, the time they chose someone else over you? But here's what they're missing. It wasn't one thing. It was everything accumulated, compressed, concentrated until it reached critical mass. You didn't leave because of the last straw. You left because you finally saw the whole haystack for what it was. A pile of disappointments held together by your hope. And once you saw it clearly, leaving wasn't emotional. It was logical. Not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. Not rage, but clarity. Not hate, but indifference. Pure, simple, complete. Now, they're dealing with replacement anxiety, watching you build connections, form bonds, create relationships with people who actually value you. And they're seeing in real time what they could have had if they'd just been better. Every person who treats you right is a mirror showing them their failures. Every moment you laugh with someone else is evidence. They were replaceable every time you thrive. Without them is proof they were never necessary. And that's a level of obsolescence. The ego can't handle being proven unnecessary to someone's happiness. Being demonstrated as subtractable from someone's life equation with the answer still coming out positive. Let's talk about the text they're sending right now. The casual, "Hey, how are you?" The nostalgic, "Remember when the guilt-trippy you really changed," the aggressive, "You think you're better than me." Now they're throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks, hoping something triggers you back into caring, back into engaging, back into giving them the power they once had. But you're not biting. You're responding when appropriate. Being kind but boundaried, polite but distant. You're treating them exactly how you treat any acquaintance, and that's what's killing them, being downgraded from main character to background extra in your story. They're learning a brutal lesson right now, one that most people never learn until it's too late. People don't leave because you hurt them. Once people leave because you hurt them consistently and they finally love themselves more than they loved you. You didn't leave in anger. You left in clarity. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left to save yourself. And now they're experiencing the aftermath, not of your revenge, but of your recovery. Not of your bitterness, but of your growth. They're casualties of your evolution. Collateral damage of your healing, witnesses to what happens when someone finally chooses themselves. Here's the part that's truly destroying them, though. It's not that you're over them. It's that you're over them genuinely. There's no performative healing, no fake it till you make it, no secretly still caring but pretending not to. You actually moved on, actually rebuilt, actually became someone who doesn't need what they offered. And they can feel it in your energy, your tone, your responses, or lack thereof. There's no anger to diffuse, no hurt to exploit, no guilt to manipulate, just emptiness where they used to exist. An emptiness can't be negotiated with, can't be charmed, can't be manipulated back into caring. They're probably going through your social media right now, analyzing every post, every picture, every interaction, trying to find evidence that you're not really over it, that this is all an act. But what they're finding is worse than anything they imagined. Genuine happiness, genuine peace, genuine growth. You're not posting revenge content. You're not subtweeting. You're not doing any of the things people do when they're still emotionally invested. You're just living and they're not part of that life. Not in the pictures, not in the stories, not in the memories you're making. They've been edited out, deleted, removed. And the footage runs smoothly without them. You know what they're realizing right now that haunts them most? All those times you begged for basic decency, basic respect, basic effort, those weren't dramatic exaggerations or unreasonable demands. You were literally asking for the bare minimum and they couldn't even give you that. And now someone else is giving you the maximum, treating you how you deserved all along. And they're watching from the sidelines, seeing what they had, seeing what they lost, seeing what they'll never have again because you don't go backwards. Don't downgrade. Don't settle for less once you've experienced more. They had their chance. Actually, they had multiple chances and they wasted every single one. Here's the psychology that's breaking them down right now. Cognitive dissonance on steroids. They need to believe they're good people who made mistakes. But your indifference suggests something darker. That maybe they weren't mistaken. They were consistent. That maybe it wasn't about circumstances or timing or bad luck. Maybe it was about character, about values, about who they fundamentally are. And that's an identity crisis that can't be resolved through your forgiveness, through your anger, through anything you give them, because you're giving them nothing. You're forcing them to sit with themselves, to face themselves, to be themselves without using you as a mirror or shield or excuse. They're starting to notice patterns in their own life. Now other people leaving, other connections fading, other relationships failing, and they're beginning to suspect, just beginning, that maybe everyone else isn't the problem. Maybe the common denominator is them. But that thought, it's too heavy, too painful, too accountability laden. So, they push it away. Replace it with easier narratives. You changed. People are ungrateful. Nobody appreciates them. But late at night, when the distractions fade, when they're alone with their thoughts,